Most people say they love Jesus, but very few actually surrender to him. And that's the difference that changes everything. Because following Jesus was never meant to be comfortable. It was never meant to fit into your life. It was meant to replace it. And the truth is, most people don't struggle with believing in Jesus. They struggle with giving up control. They struggle with letting go of the life they want for the life God is calling them to. But when you look at the cross and what Jesus did, you realize something. Jesus didn't hold anything back for you. He was beaten, mocked, crushed, and he still carried his cross, knowing exactly what it would cost him. So the real question is, if he gave everything for you, why are you still holding on to everything for yourself? Today we're going to talk about surrender, what it actually means, why it's so hard, and what happens when you finally give your life fully to God. If you want more content like this, feel free to subscribe. But let's get into it. To really understand surrender, you can't start with your life. You have to start with Jesus. Because before he ever asked you to lay anything down, he already laid everything down for you. And what makes that so powerful is that he knew exactly what it would cost. This wasn't unexpected pain. This wasn't something he got caught up in. He saw it coming and still chose it. In John chapter 19, verse 17, it says, carrying the cross by himself, he went to the place called Place of the Skull. In Hebrew, Golgotha. Probably butchered that. He carried it himself. No one forced him. No one made him stay. Every step forward was a decision. And that cross wasn't light. It wasn't symbolic. It was real. It was heavy. It tore into his body that had already been beaten and broken. And he still kept going. But it goes even deeper than just the physical pain. In Luke chapter 22, verse 42, it says, Father, if you are willing, please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine. That's surrender, right there. Jesus, in his humanity, is saying, I don't want this. If there was another way, he would have taken it, but he didn't. He chose the Father's will over his own desire for comfort. And that's the part we don't talk about enough. Surrender isn't easy. Even Jesus felt the weight of it. It's not about pretending something doesn't hurt. It's not about acting like letting go is simple. It's about choosing God's will, even when everything in you wants something else. So when we talk about surrender in our own lives, we're not being asked to do something Jesus didn't already do. We're being invited to follow the same path, a path that leads through sacrifice, but ultimately leads to life. And this is where it got real for me, because it's one thing to talk about surrender, it's another thing to actually live it. If I'm being honest, I didn't want to. I liked my life. I was partying, smoking weed, chasing women, doing what most people would call living. And from the outside, it looked like freedom. It looked like I had everything I wanted. But the reality was, it never actually satisfied me. There was always something missing. No matter how good the night was, no matter how much fun I had, I'd still wake up the next day feeling empty, like none of it really meant anything. And I think a lot of people know that feeling. You can distract yourself. You can fill your time. You can chase whatever you want. But deep down, there's still that void. In Ecclesiastes 2:11, it says, But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere. That's exactly what it felt like. Chasing something that never actually fills you. And the hardest part? I knew God was calling me to something different, but I didn't want to let go. Because surrender meant giving up the life I thought I loved. It meant change. It meant stepping into something unknown. And that's where most people get stuck. Not because they don't believe in God, but because they don't want to release control. But here's what I didn't realize at the time. Holding on to my life was actually the thing keeping me stuck. Because as much as I thought I was in control, I wasn't going anywhere. I was just repeating the same cycle. Different moments, same emptiness. And eventually, I got to a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. I knew something had to change. And that's when I finally started to surrender. Not perfectly, not all at once, but step by step. Letting go of things I knew weren't right. Walking away from habits that were pulling me down. Choosing obedience, even when I didn't fully understand it. And that's when things actually started to shift. Not overnight, but gradually. God started changing my desires, changing my mindset, changing the direction of my life. In 2 Corinthians 5:17, it says, "This means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life is gone, a new life has begun." And I started to experience that for real. The things I used to chase, they didn't hit the same. The things I used to rely on lost their grip. And instead, God gave me things I never could have built on my own. A wife who builds me up, friends who actually push me closer to God, a restored relationship with my family. Not because I figured life out, but because I finally let God take control. And looking back now, I realized surrender didn't take anything from me. It gave me everything that actually matters. We also need to be real about something. Surrender has a cost. It's not just this peaceful, feel-good decision where everything instantly falls into place. Sometimes it hurts because when you truly start following God, not everything in your life can come with you. Some habits have to go, some environments have to change, and sometimes even certain people can't walk with you the same way anymore. And that's hard. For me, that meant people in my life that I was friends with for years. For you, it might even be people in your own family who don't understand the change. They might question you. They might judge you. They might think you've gone too far. But what's really happening is you're no longer living the way you used to. And not everyone is going to be okay with that. In Matthew chapter 16, verse 24 and 25, it says, "Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it.'" That's the exchange. You give up your way to walk in his. And yeah, that means letting go of things you might still want. Old lifestyles, old mindsets, old relationships that were pulling you away from God. And it doesn't always feel good in the moment. But here's what you start to realize. Not everything you lose was meant to go with you. Some things were holding you back. Some people were keeping you in cycles that you were praying to get out of. And surrender is the moment you finally trust God enough to let go, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's painful. Because deep down, you know He's leading you somewhere better. And when you really step back and look at it all, surrender starts to make sense. Because the cross was never just something Jesus carried. It's the reason you can walk in a new life today. He took the weight. He took the pain. He took the punishment that we deserved so that we wouldn't have to stay stuck in the life we were living. And when you truly understand that, surrender stops feeling like a loss. It starts to feel like freedom because you're not just giving things up, you're stepping into something better, a new life, a new direction, a new identity, not built on what you want in the moment, but built on what God knows is best for you. And yeah, it won't always be easy, but neither was the cross. And He still chose it for you. So the question isn't, is surrender hard? The question is He worth it? If this spoke to you, just take a second and really think about what you're holding on to. And let me know down below. I'd love to help you and pray over it if I can. If you're on this journey too, subscribe and walk through it with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.